Like, hey, Scoob, did you hear Nikki Blake is hosting a Scooby-Doo panel? No. Yeah. Like on today's Scooby-Doo episode, Scooby-Doo and Shaggy meet Nikki Blake. Yeah, and a Scooby panel. Like, we need to get this puppy started. Okay, Nikki Blake, take it away, Scooby-Doo.
Welcome to panel number 2. We're going to be talking about collecting merchandise. The first thing I would like to do is have you guys all introduce yourselves. So Justin, let's start with you.
Okay. Hey guys. Yeah, my name's Justin. I'm from Pennsylvania here in the United States. I'm 24 years old and I've been collecting Scooby-Doo since I was a little kid, probably the same as all of us. I've loved it. I loved watching it growing up. I still watch it. Make sure I get every new movie that comes out, watch all the shows. And yeah, I do have a pretty big Scooby collection. I don't have I was telling Nikki earlier, I have a lot of my stuff in storage right now because I'm in the process of trying to get a different house. But I can't wait to display it all like you guys have. You guys have awesome backdrops. I love it. I love seeing all your stuff.
Thanks.
Yep.
Danii.
Hi, I'm Danii. I'm up in Canada, and I've again loved Scooby since I was about 4 years old, probably 3.5 because I wore it as a Halloween costume, and that's serious business. I have about 2,500 Scooby things now. I need to do like a little bit of a recount, but I've been collecting for quite a long time, and yeah, really love Scoob, and I'm excited to talk about it with you guys.
Nice. And Danii, you currently hold the record for the most Scooby merchandise, correct?
Yeah, I have the Guinness World Record currently.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wendy?
My name's Wendy, and like Danii, I'm also in Canada, although I think at the other end of the continent. I've been collecting Scooby-Doos for over 30 years, pretty close to 30 years. I'm pretty sure if I live to be 90, I'm still going to be excited about getting new Scooby things and watching the old episodes and stuff. Growing up doesn't mean that you have to give up the things that bring you joy. You just have to be more responsible with where you're putting your money. That's all.
Very true. Very true. Cameron.
Hey guys, I'm Cameron. I run Scooby-Doo and Cameron Too. Like y'all, I'm a Scooby-Doo collector. I've loved it ever since I was a little kid. Like all of you said, never stop being who you are. Like I said, I'm 23 years old right now, and I still watch Scooby-Doo till this day, collect every merchandise I can, and it just brings me joy, and I'm happy to be able to talk about it with you guys. So glad to be here.
Nice. And I'm Nikki Blake. I run ScoobyAddicts.com, and I've been collecting Scooby stuff for a very long time. My parents used to bring me stuff from Atlantic City from the Warner Brothers store, so it's been quite a while. So I think it's awesome that you guys are here. I think we can have an awesome discussion, and it's going to be fun. So let's start with the first topic. Do you collect everything, or are there just certain things that you are looking for? So Danii, let's start with you.
For me, anything licensed that I like. And that's the simple of it. I have to like it. I have to want it to be with everything else. And I really like to make sure it's licensed. I will collect like Scooby art and stuff like that because it's totally cool. But when I really look for stuff for my collection, I want to make sure it's legitimate and not somebody using the properties or anything like that. Art is like the gray area there because it's amazing. But yeah.
Right. So I have a question regarding the Guinness record. Do they count things that are not licensed, or do they have to be licensed?
They do count things that are unlicensed.
Okay.
And they have in the past, yeah.
Okay.
But all of my count would be things that are licensed.
Right. Okay. Wendy?
I always like to tell people that I have a curated collection. So I'm really not too interested in collecting everything. I like to collect just the things that I really, really like, or things that I find are unusual. I totally get where Danii's coming from, but I personally love bootleg Scooby things that are just like, where did that come from? how did they get this? It definitely doesn't have to be licensed for me to like it, because I do like the unusual aspect of it. And I'm always looking for a bargain. If it's a good deal and it ticks those other 2 boxes, I mean, I'm in heaven. That's my favorite thing. So a curated collection of the things that I like, but also with things that are rare or just interesting.
Right. So Wendy did a video with Collector's Haven, I believe it was, and showing off her collection. And she has some pretty interesting things. But one of the things that she had, she got an ornament, right? It was an ornament, and it came in pieces. Like it was
smashed.
And she shows a picture of it smashed, and then she shows the ornament. Oh, you have it right there. So you can finish the story.
Yeah, it was a great eBay buy that came in an envelope, just like a little tiny padded envelope. It was smashed into bits and bits and bits, and I am convinced that half of it was missing. And my dad saw the look on my face and the tears that I was trying not to cry, and he said, "It's no problem, I'll fix it." And I said, "Dad, you can't fix it. I mean, you just can't." And he fixed it. I watched him do it. I helped him do it. And I still don't know how it got done. I have no idea.
That's awesome.
I really don't.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
But it was better than throwing it in the garbage. Like that was just too painful to do that.
Yeah. I actually tell your story about that ornament to so many
I love
people.
that. That's great.
Justin, how about you? Do you collect anything or certain things?
Yeah, so for the most part, if I see Scooby-Doo, I buy it, and that's good and bad, but I do have stuff that's unlicensed, as long as it's not like something like really cheesy. Like I've seen a lot of cool stuff that's not licensed, like on sites like Etsy. There's some really cool things that you can get, and I've gotten a lot of stuff like that. But for the most part, as long as it looks very legit, or if it's licensed, yeah, I just like to get anything Scooby-Doo that I can. Actually, just the other day we were in Walmart, and they had like there's little Scooby-Doo the snacks with the little toy inside. I think you did an unboxing video on them. Yeah, and I was there with my girlfriend, and I was like, and I bought all of them, and of course I had to take the box too. And she didn't understand like why I need the box, and I'm like, it's just like it's an addiction. Like I need it. I don't know. I need it for my collection. So, but yeah, I love Scooby, so I try to get whatever I can.
Yeah. Cameron, how about you?
When I first started collecting as a little kid, my mom started collecting for me as I was a baby, and she got me pieces that were kind of more vintage pieces. And that's what I kind of started off with. I started off with vintage pieces from the late 60s and 70s and 80s and going on up. And I kind of wanted to keep it vintage. But now I buy anything and everything Scooby-Doo. As far as like non-licensed stuff goes, I'm very careful with that because, somebody can slap Scooby-Doo on something and mark it up like crazy, so I'm very careful about that. I think most of my life savings is like in my Scooby-Doo. I think everybody can. But like I said, it brings me joy. I've loved ever since I was a little kid. People don't understand me collecting Scooby-Doo, but like I said, it brings me joy. I love it. I have a lot of vintage pieces, which are like my absolute favorite, like the Warner Brothers store stuff from the like the 70s. But now Scooby-Doo is really making a comeback. Y'all know that, and everybody else knows that. And so it's hard because when you think you got everything Scooby-Doo, or you're really caught up with everything that's been released, like a whole new wave of stuff gets released, and it's hard. It's like, oh my gosh. And you're excited, but at the same time you're like, okay, like my bank account's like, stop, you need like stop. So it's like I said, vintage stuff is my favorite, but like I said, I collect anything and everything Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, I have a tendency to collect pretty much anything that I see, which is hard because I do go back and forth with, there's certain things that I want to collect versus collecting everything. But then I start seeing people posting stuff online and I'm like, okay, I have to have that too.
Yeah.
I can't not have it. It's got to be part of my collection.
The struggle is real.
Yep.
The internet is so enabling. You guys are all enabling.
Yeah.
It's true. It's very true. And, you know, I feel like Cameron said, people don't understand, and they really don't. You know, people come into my house and they look at the stuff that I have and they're like, why? Why do you do this? Like, don't you have better things to spend your money on? Do you need all this? And it's just, it makes me happy. So, you know, for me, I went through a lot of stuff as a kid, and I always kind of felt like Scooby took me back to like where I felt comfortable, you know, and it gave me something to kind of look forward to when Scooby was on. So for me, I think, you know, it helps me to just kind of be in my own world, I guess. So yeah,
I think you're Nikki. Because, you know, like Wendy said when we did our very first panel, I remember her talking about like, and correct me if I say this wrong, Wendy, but Wendy was talking about how it helps you escape to like this, like, you know, fun cartoon-filled world where no politics or, you know, issues. You know, there's nothing in there. I mean, it's just fun. You're solving a mystery. And Nikki, I can relate to you, and I think most of y'all can too. When things get rough in life and when things aren't going our way, and you know, when personally me, like y'all, I turn on Scooby-Doo. I'll turn on the old episode of Where Are You or the Scooby-Doo show, and it brings back all those nostalgic vibes, and it helps me escape. You know what I mean? It's like my comfort zone. So I know what you mean, Nikki. And like I said, a lot of people don't understand it, but you know, but then there's other people that, you know, collect sports memorabilia and other stuff like that. And it's like, okay, well, so that's normal. Like, I don't know. Like, I guess that's weird like that. I don't know.
And that's a question. Like, why is it okay to like Mickey Mouse, but it's not as okay to like Scooby-Doo? Or why is it okay to collect sports memorabilia, but if you collect Scooby, you're considered childish?
That's a great question. It really is. My aunt actually, ironically, she's a big Mickey Mouse collector, and everyone thinks it's so cool. And you know, oh, you're right. It does come off as like normal for certain people to have like Disney stuff or Mickey Mouse stuff. But those same people in my life, you know, they've seen my Scooby collection, and right, they think it's cool, but they kind of just like, oh, they just kind of laugh it off. And it's, you know, it's like, I don't know, but like we were saying, it makes us happy. Everyone has an outlet, and this is our outlet, you know, watching and collecting Scooby-Doo. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's literally nothing wrong with that, you know. And another thing too, that I find funny about people that, for instance, with Mickey Mouse, collect Mickey Mouse. You know, Mickey Mouse has obviously been on air longer than Scooby-Doo. I think it was from like the 20s, but Mickey Mouse has had shows on like Disney Junior, whereas Scooby-Doo hasn't had a show like specifically for kindergartners. You know what I mean? Like, obviously Scooby-Doo's a kid show, but I think Scooby-Doo can be for all ages. Like if you watch a show like Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, you know, like that's obviously like for preschoolers, but there's still people that have lots of Mickey Mouse stuff. But Scooby-Doo has never had a show that was strictly for preschoolers. It's always been consistently a family-friendly show where like you can be 3 and love Scooby-Doo. You can be 53 and you can still get into Scooby-Doo. It's not too dumb and it's not too like, you know, like too sophisticated for little kids. It's a show for everyone. So yeah, that question was a great question, and it drives me nuts. I just don't understand it.
Yeah.
It's kind of always surprised me because it's like it's not mainstream, but at the same time, I've never had to explain to somebody what Scooby is. Everybody knows it. So it's weird that they're like, this isn't mainstream enough for you to collect it. But meanwhile, I definitely know what Scooby-Doo is. I watched it for sure. And you're like, okay, so you get that people like it. So gatekeeping, it's no fun. It's not worth it. I've had tons of people call it childish and stuff, and I'm like, well, you know, I've done great things with it. it's my money, not your money. I'm also doing perfectly fine with money if you were concerned, but I don't think that was your point. So, you know, if you love it and it hurts nobody, then let the people who are going to be mad, and I'm going to have a great time with my scoops.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, Danii makes a good point of how it's so interesting that there's no question Scooby is mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
My dad said something to me last year before I was on Collector's Haven, and we were talking about Scooby, and he was saying that, you know, in another 30 or 40 years, Scooby will be like what Mickey Mouse is today. And I think he's right. You know, like Justin said, Mickey Mouse does have, you know, a couple of decades on Scooby, so it makes sense that there's more Disney collectors out there. But it is still sort of like a niche thing, because the irony is, even though it's something that is not primarily like for little kids, like Justin said, there's never been like a preschool version of it the way that other mainstream cartoon characters have had. So you'd think it would be more accepted as something that adults might collect, given that it's an older age bracket when you're probably watching it. Because like, you can watch it when you're 3, you can watch it when you're 30, you can watch it when you're 60 or even 90, and you can still enjoy it because it's not too dumb, it's not too over the top, that you can't still get something out of it. You know, when things are too hard to understand, well, you're not going to enjoy it very much. But Scooby was like right in the middle of that. But I think the biggest issue is that people just have a hard time looking beyond themselves. So everyone has something that makes them happy. Everyone has something that they're willing to spend a lot of money on. I had an acquaintance of a friend a few years ago who was talking about how she is a self-described foodie. She wants to spend, you know, $40 on like a block of specialty cheese. I am so cheap when it comes to food, because I'm like, I would rather spend the bulk of my money, you know, once you've taken care of what you need to take care of, you know, your luxury spendings, my Scooby stuff, as long as I don't have a fire or a flood, in another 30 years, I will still have all of this stuff that I spent my money on, and I can keep enjoying it. How you eat food and in a couple of minutes it's gone, the joy is gone. I'm not knocking people that that's what they enjoy, you know, but they look at people like us and they think like, well, you're wasting your money. Mm-hmm. Well, no, we just enjoy something different than you, and that's okay. You know, we don't all have to like the same things, because honestly, if everyone only liked one thing, no one would be happy, because there'd be nothing to collect, because there'd be nothing left.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So has any of you had any like crazy reactions to your collections from people?
You know, growing up, like I said, I've always collected Scooby-Doo. I've always had collection rooms. I have 3 currently right now. And some of them have stuff boxed up. I mean, but when I had like my showcase room, which when people would come in to my house, they would see it. And, you know, I've had people that are super close to me. They're like, I love it, Cameron. It's super cool. It's super awesome. And then I've had other people are like, wow, like, you're how old and you're still collecting Scooby-Doo, you know? And so I never let that get me down, because, you know, I'm thinking to myself, I am who I am. I love what I love. You know, if people don't like it, well, then, you know, it's just the way it is. I mean, you don't like it, well, then keep on going, because I'm going to keep doing what makes me happy. You know, but like I said, I've had some super crazy reactions. You know, when it comes to Scooby-Doo, I think it's something more along the lines of, you know, we're collecting because it makes us happy, but we're also sharing our collections with other people to make other people happy. And I think I can say that for all of us on this chat. I know that on your pages, you guys share your collections and your collectibles and stuff like that, because you know it makes other people happy. You know, because when people will comment, say, "Oh my gosh, you remember this piece when I was a kid?" or "Oh my gosh, you remember that episode?" or "Wow, it's a cool piece," and yada yada yada. Where, you know, whereas other people that do collect, you know, they don't share their collections. They don't really, you know, post out about it, and some people do. but I feel like as Scooby collectors, we're not just making ourselves happy, we're making other people happy. So I think that's when we have reactions like that, I think it's very positive, and I think it's what makes the Scooby community the best community, in my opinion.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah. So I've had like a close friend of mine who he used to give me crap. He used to give me crap going through high school about collecting Scooby-Doo. And I'll admit there was a time in my life, and I think it was about middle school going into high school, where I was very secretive about it, because, when you're going through high school, it doesn't seem like that's not the cool thing to do. You're not going to be in homeroom telling everybody about all the Scooby-Doo stuff you have when you're in like 11th grade. Like it was intimidating at the time. But then as I started to go through college and graduate college, I realized, I'm like, you don't need to be embarrassed or afraid about, to tell people what you like. And like you were all saying, this is what makes us happy. And I've had a lot of people come around and really just come to terms with understanding that this is what makes me happy. And a lot of people, like my family, some of my friends, they're very supportive of it. They'll send me stuff. Hey, like, send me text messages. Did you see this? Do you have this? So, it's just cool to see how that changed, going from being a kid collecting Scooby-Doo, loving it, with me going through high school, still loving it and collecting it, but more of like in a secretive way. And then, getting older and just realizing, you do you like what you like. But I think for me also, one of the funniest reactions was my girlfriend that I have. Obviously I didn't come out right away and just be like, hey, like, look at all the Scooby-Doo stuff I have. It was like a gradual thing. I don't want to like overwhelm her right away with that, but it's really cool to see her come to terms and accept what I like, because she knew what Scooby-Doo was, but not to the extent that we know Scooby-Doo. She just knew what it was and maybe watched it once or twice growing up. And now it's cool. She loves it. She likes seeing everything that I get. And every time I do get something, I make sure I show her, and she's super supportive and so excited for me. So that was a really cool reaction to my collection personally, was to see her just come to terms with it. So.
And that's great. Like my husband, he totally supports my collection. He'll tell me, oh, you need to stop spending all this money on Scooby stuff. And then he'll turn around and, he's buying me Scooby stuff. So he kind of enables me.
Right. Yeah. There you go.
but yeah, it helps a lot to have people that you're with every day supportive of it. Because I know for me, my family is like, you need to grow up. Oh, don't you think you have too much Scooby stuff? What are you going to do with all of this? And it's, I almost feel like I don't want to show them the room, because, if they're just going to make negative comments about it to me, I don't really need that. Like, it makes me happy, and that should just be enough. So.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually.
Oh, go ahead,
Cam.
No, go for it.
I was going to say, I'm going to say a big collective apology to all of you for all of these people in your lives, because I have to say I am very grateful. I have never had a negative reaction to my collecting at all. No. I will admit, and this might seem really strange, but obviously I've been growing this collection for a very long time. I did not just wake up one day and buy everything. It has literally been 30 years of picking up stuff that I enjoy. But honestly, it wasn't till just a few years ago when I answered an open call from Sci-Fi Wire, where they were looking for people that collect things, and they wanted, we'll feature your collection on our website and everything. It was honestly the first time in my whole life that I sat down in my closet, which is where I keep my collection, and I thought, oh my gosh, like, Scooby isn't just something I like. Like, I have an actual collection of Scooby-Doo. And I had honestly never thought of it in that terminology before. Like, I'm a collector. This is what I've chosen to spend some money on and to curate and to spend my time with. And it was such an odd feeling, because since it is in my bedroom closet, not a lot of people, until the internet came around, and I realized that there were other people that also really love Scooby, and like Cam said, I get to see you guys' collection, and it makes me happy. And like Nikki said earlier on, sometimes you see somebody post something, you're like, wait a minute, I didn't know that that was out there, and now I need one too. And it's fun, you know, it is. Hopefully everyone, at least here, you know, that we all love our collections enough that we can like be happy for each other. And it's not like jealousy out of, oh, I want something that you don't have. It's like, no, this is really cool. And I hope we can all find one if we all want one. You know, I think that's like a really important thing that sometimes you don't see a lot of in other kinds of collecting, like sports and things. There is like a lot of that like negative type jealousy where it's all about just having something that nobody else has. But yeah, I really feel bad that people are like treat you like that. I honestly, that's just, I don't know if it's because I actually grew up, my aunt, my dad's sister, she was a major collector of whatever she liked. Vintage dolls, Beanie Baby, I mean, everything that she liked. I mean, her whole house was just filled with all of this stuff. So I definitely saw people being a little bit negative towards her. And she encouraged me to collect things. You know, I don't just have a bunch of Scooby stuff in my closet. There are other things that I saved from when I was little or that I collect now that still make me happy in like the realm of toys and things like that. But I guess maybe growing up with someone else in the family that was of that mindset of like, I really love these things and I'm going to collect them and there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe she took it a little bit too far. You know, I think there is a point where you're like, okay, maybe this is a little bit much, but she enjoyed it, you know? And so I think that that's fine. But none of my family or my friends that actually did get to see what was actually going on in my closet that has so few clothes in it that it's not even funny. But no one has ever said anything like negative to me at all. And I'm really sorry that, especially if it's family that's making, like, Nikki, we're so excited to see your Scooby room. I'm positive I can speak for everyone here. We want to see the Scooby room, but we are excited. And I'm sorry that you have to actually be concerned that you might not want to show it to people that you actually know in person. And that's really too bad.
It is, but you know, having the Scooby community that we have, I mean, it definitely helps because I know that everybody appreciates when I post something or the videos that I do. And it definitely helps to have that, even if I don't have it necessarily from most of my family. I have it, you know, from people on the internet. So Cameron, you were going to say something? Oh,
I was just going to say, you know, and y'all may have experienced some of this too, but, you know, a lot of people are like, and I've had it in my family and friends too, but people saying, well, you know, you can get a lot of money, you can sell that collection, you know, you need to sell some of your and, you know, I'm a person that I don't think I'm ever going to get rid of my collection. I love Scooby-Doo too much. I've been collecting for years, ever since I was a little kid. You know, my mom helps me collect when she can find cool stuff. My grandma, some friends of mine. And I'm very blessed to have those people in my life. You know, I'm blessed to have you guys because like you said, Nikki, the Scooby community is awesome because when I post something where it makes me feel so much better that I can actually have people to talk to it about. But, you know, one struggle the most I would say that I've had is people telling me I need to sell my collection or, you know, you can get a lot of money for this or that. And it's just, I know I can get a lot of money for the stuff I have. And I have some really rare and expensive collectibles, but like I said, it's things that I display that make me happy and that make other people happy. So I don't know if y'all run into the same thing with people telling y'all that y'all should sell as well, or asking if y'all, you know, want to sell. And I don't know. That's one thing I've kind of run into in the past. So
my son walked into my Scooby room the other day and he looked around and he says, "Oh, so this is where my college fund went."
Nice.
Savage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
So do your kids are they big Scooby-Doo fans, I'm assuming? Like do they think it's cool or?
So my oldest, I think he thinks it's a little bit cooler because some of his friends have said that they like Scooby. Like, I had the ScoobyAddicts.com sticker on my car until it came off. And some of his friends were like, oh, you got out of this car and it says Scooby Addicts. And they're like, yeah, my mom runs the website. And they're like, oh, that's so cool. My youngest son, not so much. I think he finds it a little annoying because when I do stuff like this, I make them get off of the internet.
Gotcha.
so he kind of relates Scooby to him not being able to play video games for like 2 hours. So
gotcha. That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. Danii, I think you were gonna say something.
Yeah, I was just gonna say a bit. For negative things, I've heard phase. It's a phase, which oops, when's the phase end? And a lot about money. They're like, oh, are you gonna sell it? How much is it worth? And I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
So like negative things, there was a bit where it bothered me, and then I was like, do you know what's great in my life, Scooby? Do you know what's not great? Those people being like that.
Right.
So I kind of started to just ignore them. But some like specific reactions, first of all, people seeing photos and then seeing it in real life and being like, oh, like, wait a second. There's a lot here, and I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, definitely there's a lot here. And I think my favorite is, for me, the displays are really important. That's a really fun part of it for me, is making it look fancy. And there was one of my parents' friends brought a little kid in, and he ended up being like, I want to buy something from the store. And I was like, oh, that's such an amazing compliment. Thank you. So I found a double of a Scooby and gave it to him because I felt guilty.
That's cute.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
I think I think Wendy brought this up earlier. I just wanted to bring up, I think it's awesome that, like you were saying about like the jealousy, there's like in the Scooby community that I've seen online with all of you, some other people, you're right, there's not much negativity. You're right, nobody's jealous of each other. Everyone's proud of their achievements. Danii with your world record, and Nikki and Cameron with you guys working alongside Scott Ennis. There's no jealousy. Like, I think that's awesome. Everybody, Wendy with your collection. I just think it's cool to see that support amongst all the Scooby fans, especially the Scooby community that we're all involved in online. It's really cool to see everybody support each other. I get so excited when all of you guys, post updates or pictures or, whatever you're doing. If you're teaming up with somebody, podcasts, I think it's great. I love it.
Yeah, I got onto TikTok, which was like a great time. And I was like, I'm going to post about my Scooby collection because I'm going to get it and I'm excited. And it just blew up, and it was so many people being like, oh my gosh, I remember Scooby. I love Scooby. Thank you for sharing this. And I was like, oh, yes, other people are as excited as me. Okay, I have to answer everybody's comment and show everything they watch. And it was so sweet. And I watch all of your guys' stuff. I look at all your guys' stuff because I'm just like, yes, okay, do you guys know about this item? Do you need it? Can I help you? What do we need? And it's just totally fun.
And with the Scooby community, like, we help each other too. There's so much stuff that I haven't been able to find, and Cameron has found stuff for me and sent it to me. I've had some other people that have found stuff for me. My Walmart here, you walk in and they have like no stock of anything, and I'm not quite sure what's happening, but it seems to be common in the Walmarts near me that they just don't stock a lot of stuff, and especially not Scooby. So I know I've helped people find stuff. I really appreciate when people help me find stuff. And it is a great community. We just all kind of work together. You have those few people that like to cause trouble, but what was that?
I was just going to say, you're always going to have that wherever you go. So you're right. Yeah.
So with collecting, Cameron, I know you mentioned once that you collect 2 of everything. Do you always do that, or is that just with certain things?
Well, I caught when I very first started Scooby-Doo and Cameron Too, I caught some negative feedback from some private messages. People were saying, you're buying two of everything, you're causing where we can't get stuff and da 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 da. And, I was never in the world trying to ever, take away the ability for someone to get a Scooby product at all. There's a part of me that when I buy something, if I can find a second and not so much like a cheaper price, I buy it just because I like to put the one that's sealed in the case, not open. I like to put it up in my display case, lock the glass. And then the others, I like to at least take out if I really like that item. Like, I don't do it for everything, but if it's like a certain item I really love, I like to take it out and I like to display it. But a line of Scooby-Doo stuff that I've really done that with is Funkos. So what I'll do is that I'll have, and I currently have every Scooby Funko, but I have all of them that are in their actual boxes and actually in a protector. And then I have the second ones that are actually out of the box. Mm-hmm. And so I love that just because I love the Funkos. You can pose them in different ways. You can take different pictures with them. You can, sometimes I put them in my office. I'll decorate with them and stuff like that when this comes around Christmas time or whatever, I do for my page. That's just personally me. Like I said, it's not for everything, but it's for the certain items I truly love. Like, for example, I knew Scooby-Doo came out with the Build-A-Bear workshop. I loved it so much that I just bought two of them. Like, I bought one for my collection, then I bought another one just to put up on my put out and just show people like, oh my gosh, that's so cool, because it was like Build-A-Bear's never done anything like that, and they did that for the movie. And I did, like I said, I did with the Funkos. I've done some of that with the Hot Wheels, and also like the Playmobil. And it's not so much that I play with it. And if there's people out there that play with it, no, I'm not judging you at all. I like to put it out and, kind of take pictures with it and do different things with it. And I don't know. I'm a kind of a stickler on this. And I don't know if y'all agree with this or not, but I hate like taking something out of the package, because I'm thinking to myself, like, oh my gosh, like it's perfect in the package. It's beautiful. I don't want to, I don't want to break that seal. You know what I mean? And then when you take it out of the package, it's like, it decreases in value. And so I'm kind of weird about that. But yeah, so some certain things I like, I'll buy two of them.
I'm kind of torn with taking things out of the package and not taking them out. So I tend to not take them out until I really figure out what I want to do.
Yeah.
Do you guys keep everything in the packages? You take them out, or do you buy two of everything?
For me, I've actually like thrifted or gotten like probably 90% of my stuff secondhand. And so for me, if I buy something new and it's in the package, I'll probably keep it in it if I like the package. Most of the time I do, because it's so cute and colorful. But if I get something secondhand and it's not in a package, I'm totally okay with that. That item has a story that's really cool. If I'm kind of indifferent on other people too, I'm not like, how could you? I'm like, what do you like? Do that. Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think that the main factor for me is, if I'm going to take it out or leave it in, is how does it look? Because some packaging just looks so good. And like Cam said, the Funkos in their package, like I'm not even really a huge fan of Funko just in general, like that stylized look of them. And yet I still have like a ton, not just Scooby. I mean, because they get like licenses for things that you can't find toys for. But the way that they package is like gold star to the packaging designer. So really definitely. If the item looks better in the package, I'll leave it in the package. And if I think it looks better outside of the package, unless it was like extremely expensive, which I have not come across this yet. This is just like in the back of my mind, like a mental thing. If I had to pay a tremendous amount of money for something that was really, really rare, okay, I'm probably going to leave it in its packaging just for posterity's sake. Like Cam said earlier, I'm never going to sell anything. I'm not looking at this as an investment in anything but my happiness, so I don't really care what the things are going to be worth. But if I think it will look cuter to take it out, and like, I definitely like how when you have things that are loose, you can pack more stuff in a smaller area. And when it comes to collectibles, I feel like that's the most interesting to look at sometimes, because there's just so many things. When Nikki did her preview of her Scooby room, and she did like a little pan across, and there was a cabinet there, and I kept pausing it because I wanted to see what was in the cabinet. All these little things, you know, and it draws your eye, and it's interesting. So I personally think that out of the package primarily makes for a nicer display, but so much better if you can do both. Some in, some out, just so that it looks nice. And again, just makes you happy when you go in and see it.
Yeah. Justin, how do you feel?
Yeah, no, I also agree with what Wendy was touching on there. You're right, like for display wise, like even with your video, when you see like a curio cabinet filled with collectibles that are out of the box, right, it looks so much better. But for the most part, like for me, I have a lot of my stuff still in the boxes. The Funkos I've actually taken out, but I've been able to get them back in to the point where they still look good. But I'll tell you, the one Scooby-Doo collectible pieces that I have that I think I want to take out of the box so bad, but I haven't, is I think the company is called the Figure Toy Company. They made the Scooby Gang. They have some villains, and they had the Scooby-Dum action figure. I want so bad to take them out of those boxes, but I know once I do, I'm not going to be able to get them back in. And those boxes in particular, I think are beautiful. The artwork behind it on the back, and I have them, and like I said, I want to take them out so bad, but I know that I'm not going to be able to get it back in there to where it looks nice. So I haven't. It's crossed my mind to buy at least two of them. It has. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah.
So Cameron, I think it's very odd that people would tell you that if you're buying two of everything, that you're taking it away from other people. I mean, mainly, like, you live in Texas, and not everyone lives in Texas in the town that you live in. So even if you were buying two of everything, you're not buying them in their town. So it's just an odd thing to say to someone.
You're not ripping it out of anybody's hand.
Right.
The way they kind of, messaged me, it was like I slapped their baby, slapped them. Come on. Now, I kind of got some messages. Like I said, it was kind of more about the Funko Pop ones, and I think it was kind of more along the lines of, like I've seen a lot of Scooby-Doo Funkos, and they were kind of the Funko exclusives. Like sometimes you can get them, sometimes you can't. And second ones I bought on eBay, and I'm thinking so I'll reply to them like, hey, I'm sorry you feel this way, but I bought it on eBay. Like there's tons on there if you want to go get them. Like trust me, like I'm not taking the opportunity away from you, And I know with you guys too, and I will say be prepared, because there's always going to be that negative person that pops into your DMs. It's going to say something page or negative about you collecting. But it was weird, Nikki, because like I said, right off the bat, when I very first started Scooby-Doo and Cameron Too, I posted some doubles of things, saying like I would do like a Funko Pop, and I do one out of the case, I do one in case, one out of case, and then and I got some negative feedback from that. But like I said, it's just certain items. It's not everything Scooby-Doo I do, because if I try to do that, I think I'd go bankrupt. Like absolutely. Because it's and y'all know this, it's expensive when you try to collect everything and anything Scooby-Doo. Nick, I know you and me have had this conversation with Scott before. We want to try to buy everything, but it's kind of impossible, because there's been more than 50 years of Scooby-Doo, and every year it's like Scooby-Doo has had some kind of license and official product come out, and it's hard to try to get all of it. Now, granted, and I don't know about y'all, but like me going throughout life, I want to try to collect everything and anything Scooby-Doo, and try to get everything that Scooby-Doo has created. And I know it's a big task, but I just do it for my personal happiness. But yeah, so like I said, it is a weird thing. And, like I said, I'm not taking the opportunity away from anybody. I'm not sorry in a way, because here's my thing. Everybody has an opportunity to collect something different. Like Wendy said, like Justin said, like Danii said, like you said, Nikki, everybody has that opportunity. Nothing's being taken away. Like you go on eBay right now and type up Scooby-Doo, like there's like 50,000 or more stuff pop up. And I'm like, you don't have to buy the same thing. Go try something different, try to buy a different collectible, show something different that nobody has, you know what I mean? So it's just a very wide topic.
Yeah.
I wonder if the people that are taking that attitude towards you and towards the idea of buying more than one, not that this would make it any better, it doesn't, but I'm curious if they're maybe mixing up what you're doing with something like people who go around to thrift stores and buy up as much as they can and then resell it online for a huge profit.
Yes.
Because I personally don't like that. I would honestly, I would never message anybody and give them heat for it. But personally and privately, I would like, it would steam me up a little bit, because I would be like, well, there are people like us who collect things. And more importantly, think of us back in the day when we started. We were children. We were just little kids, you know, and now we're adults. We should collectively, as adults, we should all be able to look back at that time when, you know, 5-year-old Wendy or 10-year-old Cam or whatever it is, and you go into a store or you go to a flea market or something, and it's your goal. You're like, I want to find something Scooby. Like, that's just going to make my day. And there is something there for you to buy. And it's like the most wonderful feeling in the world. You know, I still remember, I'm going to be 35 years old this year. I can still remember where all of my stuff came from. And those moments where it was in a setting like that, where I specifically was like, it doesn't matter what it is, because you never know what you're going to get at a flea market. It could be anything. It could be something rare. It could be something new. But it was just, you know, the thrill of getting something like that. And so I definitely don't like when people who are not collectors themselves go out and they steal that joy from the people who would actually like to have the item. And I wonder if there's just some kind of like, it's very, very ignorant if this is what's happening to people like Cam. But I wonder if that is, if they're just getting their wires crossed like that, or the people that, you know, like you say, how hard it is to get the exclusives from Funko. And you have to, you know, like it starts at a certain time and everything. And like in Canada, they don't even ship to Canada. So for me and Danii, we can't even go on Funko and even try, you know, it's not even like available to us. But then like literally 10 minutes after the sale starts, you go on eBay and there's a dozen of them marked at like $100 a piece. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I know what you're doing, but what is the matter with you that you're doing it?
Yes.
But that's not what Cameron's doing with wanting to have one in or one out, or if it's just something that you really, really like and you want a second one, like that is not the same thing. But I wonder if that's, people just don't have enough sense to separate that those are two completely different scenarios. They're not even close to being the same.
Yeah. No, thanks for that, Wendy. And you know what? I think you're right, because me and Nikki have had this conversation before. When it comes to the fact of Funko, I want to touch on that real quick. You're right. It's because it just gets me so angry. And me and Nikki have talked about this too, how, like you said, there'll be one person and they'll have probably 10 computer screens in front of them. And then they'll go and they'll buy everything up. And then they'll go and sell it all. And I've seen people do that. And I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, that's what makes me mad. And that's my thing. I personally don't sell any Scooby-Doo stuff. If I have some extras of things, like I bought from their stores in the past, or I've been gifted of double things, you know, I may sell that. But like when it's exclusives and stuff like that, and you are taking away that opportunity, I think that's where kind of wires got crossed, Wendy. I think you're right, because a lot of my followers on my pages, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, a lot of them are Funko collectors. They love Funko. They love the Scooby-Doo Funko series. And so I think you're right, Wendy. I think that's where it comes in. And that's why I have to explain to them, like, hey, look, it's not that I'm buying two on the Funko website. I personally go pay some, not crazy price, but I'll go find like a bargain for this flocked Scooby Funko that I liked, and I'll pay for it, but it does fill me up when somebody goes and buys all of them. Like I remember when Box Lunch, when they did that cause for Scooby-Doo, and my Box Lunch, I know they didn't even put a limit on how many Scooby-Doos you could buy. So people were coming in there and buying 9. I'm thinking to myself, is that really necessary for you to go in there and buy 9 exclusive Scooby-Doo Funko Pops when like there's an adult who goes in there and buys like I don't know, like 20 of them. And then there's not even one left for a kid that's, like, Mom, I really want to go to the mall and I really want to go get one. And they walk in there and it's like, what the heck? And then this guy's walking out with 20, in a bag. So, and me and Nikki have had that conversation before, and I've had it with Scott, Mr. Ennis too. He's like, that fills me up, because it's like people are not respectful in that sense. You know what I mean? So.
And the biggest problem too is they want to post everything for 3 to 4 times the value of it.
Yes.
Because they know that collectors will pay for it, because especially with an exclusive, it's the only way you can get it once Funko's done with their sale. So they know that they're going to get the money for it. And it is sad, because they're taking advantage of the fact that now they've taken them from collectors, so just so that they can resell it to make this huge profit.
Yeah.
I have like a lot against scalpers, because I don't just collect Scooby, I collect other things, but I absolutely refuse to pay scalper prices. That's why a lot of my stuff is secondhand and stuff like that, is because I'm like, okay, if nobody's buying your overpriced stuff, you can't sell your overpriced stuff.
Right.
So yeah, I'm just one person and it's not gonna make a big difference, but I'm gonna be like, oh, okay, guess I'm not getting that item, or I guess I'll find it somewhere cheaper. I'm not giving you my money or my time. I also find that on eBay and stuff, a lot of the time, as soon as people start hearing about Scooby or something Scooby comes out, those prices just like skyrocket. So it's kind of like one of the reasons, besides being online shopping cursed, that I don't buy things online. I buy them in person and stuff like that. Having that budget cap of just being like, okay, I like this, but something's off. And you know what? That price means it's not meant to be. I can wait and find something better. I don't want you taking advantage of Scooby fans. So I'm gonna like set this precedent that nobody knows about. Small justice.
I do try not to pay the crazy prices. Like, I recently found out about the Pup Named Scooby-Doo comic book. I had no idea it existed until my husband saw it on Amazon. It was $500 on Amazon.
Golly.
And I'm like, I really want it, but I'm not paying $500. That's insane. So he ended up finding it on Etsy, of all places, for like $20. So, and there was a set on there. It came in an 8 series set, and he got me the whole set for like $65. So, but the people actually bought it for $500 on Amazon, which is just crazy.
Yeah.
If they don't mind me, Nikki, bringing this up, I don't know where y'all stand on this, but when a Scooby item gets released, now if it's an exclusive, I try to go for it. If it's from like the people that make it, like for example, and y'all may know this, but Loungefly is going to be coming up with Scooby-Doo backpacks sometime. I think it's going to be this Monday, but I could be wrong. But I'm going to try to go for that. But when people do release new Scooby-Doo products, I'm kind of finding myself now to kind of not rush forward for everything, because I notice along the lines, you kind of give it like a week or 2 weeks or a month, and you kind of see it, you can find it for a cheaper price. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like the Scooby-Doo Funko soda. When they first got released, they were so high to get, and then all of a sudden, that people are posting them on Facebook Marketplace and OfferUp and Mercari, and they're like super cheap. So I didn't know. I mean, I guess I'll ask y'all, do y'all do the same thing? Do y'all kind of wait out for certain Scooby-Doo items, or do y'all feel like you'll have to get it right then and there when it's released?
I know.
Most of the time, sorry, I'll let you go, Justin. You haven't talked yet.
Thanks. I actually just recently, I found that out the hard way, sort of. Last year when all of the Scoob figurines were coming out, like for the movie, specifically like the ones with Blue Falcon and Dynamite and all that, I wanted them for my collection, and I know they were coming to Walmart, but my Walmart didn't have it. And at the time, I was thinking the only way that I could get it would be eBay, and I paid more than I wanted to for them. It wasn't like horrible, but the prices were so high, and I purchased them, and then within the next month, I mean, you're right, the prices for them went down so much. Then I started seeing them at my Walmart, and so since then I started to just try to wait a little bit if I can't find it right when it comes out, because I know that you most likely will be able to find it at some point. And you're right, for like more of a reasonable price. So I kind of learned from that mistake. It sucks seeing how much money I spent for it when, just like you said, a few weeks later it went down so much. So yeah.
That's so tough. I'm sorry to hear that.
No. Learn from your mistakes.
That's the things you learn as collecting, right?
Yeah.
I was going to say, Wendy probably experiences is similar to me. A lot of the times I don't have the option to buy it right away because it doesn't ship to Canada. Yeah. So that's like, and most of the time I'm like, okay, I'm going to hope that I can drive down in the United States in 2 months and see what I can get. Like, so it just ends up being like, I can't buy it right away anyway. So I'm forced to wait. So it's like extra special, I guess.
Yeah, Dani's completely right. That's exactly what I was going to say. I also live in a very rural community, and my Walmart rarely gets anything that's Scooby. For Valentine's Day, both Nikki and Cam were posting these really cute Scooby things from Walmart. And I mean, I'm not complaining. I did eventually find like the little package of Valentines with the pencils in it, but that was it. We didn't get anything else, you know? So in a way, I think it's good for me because I do prefer more vintage collectibles to the more modern stuff. And so if I don't have the option of buying it, because I'm never going to be anything but a big kid. If I go in the store and I see Scooby, I mean, my impulse is going to be, I want it. And it just because you get older doesn't mean that it gets easier to say, I don't need that. Or I can wait for that. Like, no, if anything, I feel that now I'm like, well, wait a minute, I'm making my own money. So why should I wait for it? So it's you know what I mean? It's almost harder now to show like some restraint for it. So maybe it's good that I can't just go to the store whenever there's a new release, because if I see it, there's a good chance that I will at least really, really want to buy it. But yeah, up here, we don't have a choice. We have to wait. And for me, I'm like, well, I hope that they'll show up on eBay or, you know, something like that. I definitely live nowhere near the American border. I've been to the States like once in my life, and that was almost 20 years ago. So, but I have mentioned her before, and Megan, if you're watching, I love you to pieces. My friend Megan, who has been in the States now for many, many years, who is so wonderful, who always says, you know, if you see something Scooby that you want, you can have it sent to me. And when I come home to visit, I'll just bring it with me. So some of my like best items, that's what's happened, because paying $10 for a Scooby item that the seller wants $60 to ship to Canada is just not, like, I don't care how much I want it, I'm not doing that. That is just, it cannot justify doing that. And so she's really wonderful. And a lot of times that's what I'll end up doing, or she will watch for things for me, because down there, you know, there's a Hot Topic very close by. And she's really great, and she will go and look and see if there's something that I want, and she'll pick it up. And then the next time we get together, it's like, here you go. I'm like, oh, thank you.
That's really cool. Yeah. So the Loungefly backpack, when they originally announced it, I started to see it for pre-order for $119.
I know.
I don't think it's actually sold for $119, but that's what the pre-order was. And a lot of people were pre-ordering it because they wanted to make sure that they got it. So like you said, Cameron, waiting until either the item actually comes out. You know, at Hot Topic, it's not going to be $119. I think it's $70, which I think is still pretty pricey for that, but
backpack, yes.
Loungefly is just like that, and they know they can because they're nice.
Yeah. At wallet, and I'm like, dadgummit.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you guys think about, like, when you're buying something on Mercari or eBay, and I see a lot of people, there's a Scooby item, and then there's a Flintstones item, and a Jetson, everything in one lot. To me, it drives me crazy because I just want the Scooby. I don't want, you know, the whole lot of Happy Meal toys. If it's 50 different toys, all I want is Scooby. I don't want to have to resell stuff because I bought it just to get the Scooby item.
I come across that a lot at like thrift stores and stuff like that. And for me, the way I kind of look at it is I'm like, okay, this is whatever this price is, that's how much the Scooby is on his own. Is it worth it? If it's not worth it, I leave that behind. If it's worth it, I will get it and just donate the other things back or something like that, because like I didn't spend any money on them. I spent that much money on the Scoob. But otherwise, if it's like a brand new thing and I can't justify the price, then I'm like, okay, I'm not supposed to get that one. Maybe I'll see it later on its own. But otherwise, it's okay. I'll find it again.
You know, Nikki, that's a really good question. I've seen that a lot lately. And granted, I love everything Hanna-Barbera. Hanna-Barbera, I think, has been the best cartoons, in my opinion. Now, people may say Disney's been better or Nickelodeon, but I truly think that Hanna-Barbera has just been the top cartoons because they've just done so great with the characters and the backstories and everything. But when there's a lot, and you know, it's got the Flintstones and Jetsons and other things in there, you know, and I just want that one Scooby-Doo thing, you know. I will say I've been very blessed and fortunate because what I'll do is, and here's a little tip for everybody watching. And you know, if you see something you really like, you know, just shoot a message to the person selling it and be like, hey, look, I would really just like to have the Scooby-Doo, you know, instead of having to buy all of them, could you maybe make a deal? Because I think it was like a month ago, there was a lady selling the vintage Pepsi glasses, and she was selling all these different cartoon character ones. Well, I just wanted the Scooby-Doo one with Shaggy and then the Blue Falcon with Dynamite, and I didn't want all the other ones. So I just sent her a message to say, hey, look, I want these two. I know how much they're worth. I can give you this much instead of having to buy the whole collection. Can we do that? She's like, sure. So I did it like that. But it is very frustrating sometimes when you do have those sellers like, no, you have to buy this. And it's like, I'm not going to spend $100 for this lot of like all this different stuff just for this one little Scooby-Doo thing. And then you're like, hey, I'll actually make you a pretty reasonable deal. You know, if you can just sell me the Scooby-Doo thing, then you can turn around and keep the other stuff, make a lot for that and sell all that off to somebody who's trying to collect Hanna-Barbera stuff. And sometimes people go for it and sometimes people won't. I don't know if y'all have kind of run into this too. I know in my collection, I have some different things, Hanna-Barbera. I tried collecting all Hanna-Barbera when at one point in my collecting years, and it just got so expensive and hard. I know in my collection, I kind of focus, like I said, mostly on Scooby-Doo, as you can tell, but like, I know along the lines, I kind of also collect a little bit of Speed Buggy and Dynamite, Blue Falcon, Captain Caveman because of Laugh Olympics. You know what I mean? But it is very frustrating, Nikki, because like you said, you're trying to go for that one Scooby-Doo thing, and they have it, they especially when they throw other action figures or other stuff in there that's not even related to Scooby-Doo. It's like, what's the point? You know what I mean? So it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
That actually just happened to me just about a few weeks ago. I was at my local antique shop, and they had these watches. Nikki, I think you just posted a picture with it in it. It was a purple Scooby-Doo watch, and I think it's from the 80s.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? I don't
know where in Pennsylvania you live, but I live in Pennsylvania.
Okay,
and
yeah.
I was in, I think it was York, Pennsylvania, that I found these at.
Okay.
It was a set, but it wasn't all Scooby-Doo. It was like Scooby, the Flintstones, the Jetsons. It was like a whole bunch. And the only reason I bought it was because it was the only Scooby-Doo thing that I found there. And I didn't want to walk out of there without anything Scooby, so I bought it.
So you bought the whole string of them? Is that what you're saying?
I have it here, so
I wonder if it was like the same place.
The only one that's not in it is the Scooby one, because it's in something else. It's in my cabinet.
That's insane. I wonder if we were at the same place, because literally all of those. Yeah, York. I'm from like the Columbia area in Lancaster County.
Okay.
And it was
it was in that area somewhere. Yeah.
Okay, wow. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if it was the same place or not, but literally it was just like that. I didn't want to buy the entire thing. I just wanted the Scooby one. And the seller, he was pretty adamant about me buying all of them. And I was like, oh, like I'll wait, you know. That's actually really funny though. That's wow.
Yeah, I was really disappointed because I think that was the first antique shop we went to that day. We were there last Friday. Okay. And I really wanted to find Scooby, and we were going to some other places, but I was thinking, you know, what if I don't find anything? And then I saw this watch and I didn't buy it. So I was just like, all right, I'm just going to buy it, because if it's the only Scooby thing I find, that's great. But now I'm stuck with all these watches that I don't find.
Yeah, understandable. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, I don't see it too terribly often, but I mean, honestly, like, we don't have any thrift stores around here. The only time I ever get to go to a thrift store is if I go and visit my friend for the weekend or something, which obviously is not happening anytime soon. However, just maybe 2 weeks ago, I did bid on something on eBay, and it was a situation like that where it was the set of Corgi cars from, I don't know if they're from the 80s or the 70s, but there's a bunch of them. There's a Tom and a Jerry and a Scooby, and I think there was like a Flintstones one and everything. And obviously the only one I wanted was Scooby, and it was coming from the United Kingdom, and the opening bid was really, really low. The shipping was doable, but only if nobody else was going to bid. And so unfortunately, like, I hate when you have to do that, where you have to consider how much the shipping is when, you know, maybe I can't bid more than like $3 or $4 because the shipping is so expensive. And the only reason, like, normally I would not have bid on it at all with all of them in the lot, because what am I going to do with them? I would probably display them, because I do, you know, like Cam said, we probably all have some things that are Hanna-Barbera that are not necessarily Scooby. And it's not that they're still nice, you know, but somebody else started bidding, and I thought, like, it's just not. Ironically enough, if it had just been the Scooby, I might have been tempted to keep bidding, which makes no sense, because you're getting more, you know, for the same price. So you would think that, well, that's the better deal. Well, it might be the better deal, but I don't need those other things, and I'm not in a position to resell them. So maybe if you want them, you go ahead and, you know, that's fine, because maybe he wanted all the other ones and the Scooby was like the odd one out for him. Like, you never know.
Right.
So if it's like Danii said, price plays a big point to what it is. And if it's not worth it, if, like, look at the package as a whole, would I pay that for just the Scooby? Yes or no?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cameron, you talked about wanting to collect every Scooby item, and I don't know if that's actually possible. And I say that only because, well, 50 years of Scooby is a long time. Mm-hmm. But, you know, Funko put out a 20-inch plush of Scooby in the United Kingdom. It was never released in the United States. I don't know if they've put out anything else in the UK that they haven't released in the US. It's not even on the US Funko website. So the only reason I knew it existed was because Scott Innes bought one, and then I went on eBay to find it, and I ended up finding it. But now I'm looking for another one for somebody else, and it's like they're just gone. Mm. So, you know, to collect everything would be awesome, but pricey, you're right, and very difficult, just because of so many things are, you know, I think it was in Mexico, they released the Scoob popcorn mystery machine bucket with a lid on it, which we didn't get in the United States. I don't know if you guys got anything like that in Canada.
I didn't see them anywhere.
Without the lid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nikki, I think you're right when you bring that up, because there's a part of me that's like, I want to have everything and anything Scooby-Doo, but, also too, along the lines, there's also some, exclusive products out there that, you really can't find, or somebody has, and that's only been made. Like, I know there's some Scooby-Doo products out there that there's only been like a certain number made, and you do run across it. It's very, very rare. One piece I would love to have, is the actual Luna Ghost costume from the Scooby-Doo movie. And I think somebody was selling it one time and it got sold, and I don't know if it'll ever go back up for sale again. And that, to me, that there's not going to be another one of that. There's only been one, because it was actually the movie prop. So you're right. There is some cool pieces out there that I'm not going to be able to get my hands on, but I'm hopefully that, I look at you as collectors and I hope y'all get them, because, that's my thing. I'm serious, because like when I hop on my social media accounts, like I love seeing like other people get super awesome products that I'm not able to get, but yet y'all are, and y'all are able to feature in your collection, because that makes y'all's collection stand out. Like that's what makes it unique. There's so many different items, you know what I mean? Like, and I will say, Wendy, like you have some really cool vintage pieces I just absolutely love. Danii, I love that you're the world's largest collector. Like, I hope to go up for that one day, but I love how you have everything like on your shelves and how beautiful it is. Like, it's really cool. And you have some awesome pieces in there. Justin, with your collection, I love some of the pieces you posted out. I'm thinking to myself, where did he find this? Like, that is so, like, seriously, really cool. And then Nikki, when you were showing your room, you're going through and I'm like, oh my God, I don't have that. But makes it stand out. Y'all know what I mean when I say that? Yeah.
Combined, we are so powerful.
I know.
I was just gonna say, maybe that's the real attainable goal, is that between all of the Scooby collectors, we get everything that was ever made.
There we go. Yeah, I like
Perfect.
it. Cameron, I've had a question I wanted to ask you since we started this. The hat that you're wearing, that might be the coolest Scooby-Doo hat that I've ever seen.
Oh, thank you.
Where did you get that?
I got it on eBay, and kids, I'm not making it up. I got it for $10. And so it's got Scooby-Doo and Scrappy. Let me see what year it's from. It's from the Warner. Forgive my long hair. I'm growing my hair out. It is from 1997. And so I've never seen one like it. And on eBay. But yeah, if I ever find one, I'll definitely grab one for you, dude.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, since we've got on here, I've noticed that. I wanted to ask you about it. I didn't even know that existed. I love anything with Scrappy Doo on it because it's so rare. Yeah.
Yeah. And Nikki, you were bringing this up, and Justin, it kind of goes along with our conversation. But Nikki, you were talking about this the other day. Scrappy Doo is kind of making a bit of a comeback. And Dane, Wendy, do y'all see that as well too? I mean, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, you see him more and more. It's awesome.
Yep.
It's odd that they are making new Scrappy toys. I just feel like they're going to bring him back in some way, because it doesn't make sense to make the toys for a character that they want to forget.
Right.
So to me, it just seems like maybe the next Scooby series is going to include Scrappy.
They got over Scrappy hate. Yay!
I hope so. As long as it's not Scrappy as the bad guy again.
Yeah.
I still can't ship that. I just can't. It's not cool. That wasn't cool.
Right there.
I was gonna say, Cameron, if you need help getting the record, let me know. I'll help you. I know the process. I got you.
That's my thing. I've always I just want to hold it once in my life, and if somebody else gets it after me, I'm like, kudos to you. Like, awesome, like right on. I don't know, that's just always kind of been a goal in my life. That's something I've always wanted to go up for. I actually got a question for you, Danii. So when you did go up for like the world's largest collection, did they only, like, for example, if you had two mystery machines that were the exact same, just using an example, did they count like the mystery machines as like separate items, or do they only count like one? You know what I mean?
It has to be like unique items. Mm-hmm. And things that are normally a set would be a set. So a pair of socks is one item, stuff like that. And if you have doubles, only one counts. It was kind of interesting because I went the free route because it's me. And so I had to get witnesses to count my collection. I had to find them. They weren't official Guinness people. So it was kind of, as long as I followed the guidelines and then proved that they were all individual items, then it counted.
Okay, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, it's definitely, it was a personal accomplishment thing. I felt mean taking it from the lady who had it, but she was amazing. So I'm just like, yeah, personal accomplishment. Who's next? I'll help you. You have to have one Scooby expert to count your items. If you don't go the Guinness route, I'll be that Scooby expert. Like,
Perfect.
I'm so down to help other people.
Well, Danii, what made you want to become the world's largest? Like, what made you set that goal?
I actually didn't think about it. And then somebody was like, hey, do you know if there's a world record? And I was like, well, let me look. And I looked and I was like, oh, I have more than that. That might be a cool goal.
What was the record before you?
I believe it was 1,120 in there somewhere.
Okay. And you were 1802, I think, at the time of your record.
Yeah, 1,806.
806.
Mm-hmm.
Do you keep like a big book of like every single item you own, or how do you do that?
I have a spreadsheet, which if you guys want, I have an empty version of it and I can hook you all up. And I do have like a physical printed out one that we had to check it off and like be like, yes, this exists. Yes, I see this and everything like that. So I kind of have both copies. It's a little out of date. So that's why I'm like, I'm around 2,500 and then I lost count. So I need to do that again.
That's all.
So I think we've gone through all of the topics, but one thing that I wanted to talk about was lately there's been a lot of interviews with within the Scooby community. And one of the questions that always seems to be asked is, what is your favorite collectible in your collection? For me, I feel like it changes all the time because of my mood and because when I buy something new, like maybe that might become my new favorite piece in my collection. So do you guys have a favorite in your collection or some favorites? It doesn't have to be just one.
I think for me, one that I was really excited to get because I couldn't get it for the longest time was the old I think it was from 1973, the orange Scooby-Doo lunchbox with the headless horseman on it. Actually, I think this one right here. I think we all know what we're talking about, but yeah. I've wanted that since I was a little kid. Watching the old Scooby-Doo Where Are You special features with like Scott Ennis was on it. He was one of them. So I knew that was a piece that like I felt like every Scooby collector should try to get. So when I finally was able to get this just within this last year, I was super excited. So that's definitely up there for me. I love this piece. But as far as a more modern piece, I love that new line of the Scooby-Doo villain masks that they came out with. I know it's a newer merchandise item, but I love them. I think they're so cool, and I want to put them in like glass cases and get like a head mount for it with maybe like a plaque with their name on it. That's nice. What I would like to do with when I display them at some point. So yeah, I think those two are like kind of equal. I love them.
Yeah. Danii?
Yeah, mine changes and everything. I have a signed cell from Boo Brothers, and Boo Brothers is my favorite movie. It means a lot to me. So that like means a lot. But then there's also just some things that have like really good memories associated with them, like a set of magnets that I would say is the fault of the entire collection, because I was like, oh, I don't want to take these out of the package. And then somebody was like, you can collect. And I was like, okay. But even just every so often you just find something that's like extra cute and I'm just like, oh, I love you, you're my new favorite.
Yeah,
there's too many to choose.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. You know, I look at my collection one day, I'm like, oh, this is my favorite, and then I'll look through it and I'm like, oh, I forgot I had that. I really like that. So yeah, I just feel like it changes all the time. So when I do interviews, I always say something different, and that's why, just because it changes. Wendy, how about you?
Yeah, I'm a very predictable person, and I can't tell you how many people throughout my life have said things to me about not just this, but about a lot of things like, oh, when you get older, you'll change, you'll think different. And that has literally never happened a single time in my whole life. I am very much someone that has strong opinions and likes and dislikes, and they're really not changeable. I mean, I'm not saying that it's impossible, but I just yet to see it really happen. So for me, sentimental wise, like my big Mighty Star, or Mighty, is it called Mighty Star toy company? Yeah, the big, I think he's the 44-inch. And because that was, if not the very first Scooby collectible I had, it was one of the very first ones. And when I was, 5 or 6 years old when I got it, and it was like the size of me, and it slept on my bed with me for years and years, to the point that his feet, he's filled with this weird, they're like these little pellets,
like the beans,
and they're not foam, but they're not plastic either. And he just got so wore out that he couldn't sit up anymore because he had nothing left in his wrists. And a lady and a gentleman that went to our church, she was an amazing seamstress, and she would like make her own toys and stuff, and they were beautiful. She had a whole room with just all the things she had made, and she wouldn't sell anything or anything, and she didn't like work out for people. And somehow my mom and dad convinced her to take my Scooby, and she fixed him. He's not all floppy anymore. It was like this. So he has a lot of sentimental value, but I'm actually so excited that Nikki asked this, because I haven't told any of my, well, not that my real life friends would really care because they're not into Scooby, but you guys will appreciate this. Nikki knows that my ultimate collectible is the Scooby-Dee push puppet toy from 1977. And there's one in the mail right now. I was so hoping that it was going to get here before this call. I was so hoping, but it didn't. But so that, since I first saw those on some random, when Boomerang hadn't even become a channel yet, and they used to play those bumpers on Cartoon Network in the morning, and they had these random vintage toys, and I was like, that is a Scooby-Dee, and I need that in my life someday. So the big guy, and now the Scooby-Dee whenever she arrives, because she's always been like my goal collectible.
Yeah, that's awesome. I am still looking for those, so someday. But that's awesome. I'm glad that you found one. That's really cool. Cameron, how about you? Your favorite?
Well, I think you and Wendy kind of took mine, but it was actually, and it's good. I'm glad y'all said it, but it's actually the push collectibles. I have Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Dum, and Scooby-Dee. And I actually, kid you not, I talked to one of the guys who actually worked on the Boomerang commercial, and I actually got the ones from the actual Boomerang commercial. So they're in my.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
awesome.
Very cool. Thank you. So Wendy, I know why you love them. They're absolutely incredible. Those are probably the coolest vintage collectibles I have. And then I recently just got my mom surprised me with it, but it is actually my vintage one is the 3 push puppets, and then my brand new favorite one is the Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo cookie jar. So I just got that the other day, and she gave that to me. I just love it. I love it so much. How to me it's just so neat. So I think those are my favorite collectibles so far in my collection.
I started collecting the cookie jars, and I did not realize how many there are when I started collecting them. So I started seeing them on eBay and Mercari, and I'm like, I'm not paying $300 for a cookie jar. So I would look for them at a better price. And in doing research, there's got to be 25 Scooby-Doo cookie jars, and it's just crazy. But there was one that I really wanted. It was Scooby. it looked like he was coming out of the cookie jar, and it says Scooby Snacks on it. It's like blue and green. And this is one I really wanted. I saw it on eBay for $250. I'm like, I'm not paying that. And then I saw it on Facebook Marketplace for $10 in the box. I drove an hour and a half to pick it up, and I was just like, this is amazing. Like, this is the best $10 I have spent. This is great. Yeah.
So cool.
I love those successes.
Yeah.
So awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, does anybody have anything else that they want to add? Anything else that they want to talk about?
I actually have one question for Danii.
Mm-hmm.
You would know, maybe I'm wrong, but am I correct in thinking that the 2 previous record holders were also women from Canada?
Yes.
That's true, right? Okay, so already I feel like I need to be the next one just by process of elimination.
Keep the trend.
No, we'll all pick a year, and we'll take that year so that we all get a chance to do it. Cameron can be last because he probably has more than
that's right.
3 rooms full of Scooby stuff. He probably has more than any of us. Sorry, Wendy, go ahead.
So I remember seeing articles from the other 2, from like their local papers, whenever that was. And somebody had said something. And so I'm curious, for items that say came in a set originally. So like, let's just, for example, like a box of like the Pez. So there's 5 different ones, but initially the first release anyway, it was like a box set. So would they, like, if you had one where it was just the box, and then let's say that I tried out for it and I had taken mine out of the box, would they count yours as only 1, and then would they count mine as 5 things? You know what I mean? Like, I was just curious how they would work that so that it would actually be accurate.
It's not that detailed. They would count yours as 5 and mine as 1. So they say like things that obviously are sets. One of the examples they give is cufflinks. That's 1. A pair of socks. That would be 1. But they can't like verify that, like, oh, was that Pez set only? I think mine's behind me. Was that Pez set like only sold as a set? We don't know. So it's 5. So yeah. But I kept anything like that in a box when I did mine. But I mean, they aren't that picky about it.
Gotcha.
So Wendy, you have to go out for it. You have to try to get the Guinness record.
Well, I already feel like I would be cheating based on what Danii just said, because so much of my stuff is out of the box, and I feel like that wouldn't be fair.
Not cheating, because that's not what it's about.
You know,
Danii or Justin, do either of you have the push puppets?
No, I have been wanting to get that for a long time. It's just hard to find, obviously. I would love to have at least the Scooby-Dee one, because I think that's the only piece of merchandise that they ever released with Scooby-Dee. That's very rare. But yeah, no, I don't have it. Something that I've been like wanting to get.
Yeah. And Danii, you said you don't.
No, I feel like it's one of the curses of me like not shopping online is I have to find it in person somewhere. I have really bad luck with things actually coming in the mail when I order them, so I avoid it. But yeah, there's some things that are really tempting, and those are just so cute, because I also remember the Boomerang commercials, and that like immediately comes to mind. We have to coordinate and see if there's one thing we all have. That's the trick.
That would be cool.
Let me, if you don't mind, let me bring this up. Who misses the old Boomerang? I'm sorry. I think I should just bring that up. Oh my gosh. I'll go on YouTube sometimes and watch the old bumpers from like the commercials. I don't know if I'm just weird like that, I guess.
No, that was the best. That was the best era of Boomerang. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It was the greatest.
I don't have cable, so like the Boomerang on demand has been great so that I can watch all the Scooby stuff because they do have so many of the different series and movies on there.
Yeah, I never got the Boomerang channel. Back when I was watching Cartoon Network, we had like a big C-SPAN dish, and it was just luck of the draw that somehow there was like a satellite company that was providing American television. Like we were paying for it, but I'm not sure that it was like entirely legal what they were doing. I'm not really sure. Like we were certainly paying for it, but Boomerang was not something that was ever available like that. However, I have been looking for a bumper from something else. I've been looking online for months and I can find no evidence of it. And I'm curious if anyone else remembers it. It used to play on TNT, and it was for Rudy and Go-Go's famous cartoon show, which I can find evidence of that. But there used to be a bumper for that was Scooby. And it had a clip from Never Ape and Ape Man, the part where Scooby's on the plank and then the plank goes down and he's just hanging in the air. I cannot find a video of that anywhere. I can't find anybody talking about it. And I feel like I have such memories of that because TNT was a channel that we didn't subscribe to all the time. But it used to sometimes be like free to air on like a holiday or something. And I was always so excited because they almost always played Scooby on this like cartoon block. And I just would love to see the commercial again. And it seems like, I mean, I'm positive I didn't dream it up, but I just find it weird that I can't find evidence of it anywhere.
Yeah, you would think YouTube would have it because people are posting everything on YouTube.
Yeah, I don't know.
I would love to. That's really cool, Wendy. You know, and there was a lot of Scooby-Doo bumpers back then, you know, when they did, you know, a lot for like a lot of the childhood stuff. So, you know, I think you're right. It would be cool to go back and try to find that stuff. I've known in the past, like when they've done vintage Scooby-Doo stuff, like I remember they used to do a lot of commercials for the Scooby-Doo toys back in the 70s. Well, some of those have been lost. You know, I remember there was one, and it was for the Scooby-Doo. There was like a Scooby-Doo kiddie pool back in the 70s, and there was a commercial where the kid, like the mom was filling up the pool, and like the kids were playing in it and stuff like that. And Scooby-Doo, I think like he was animated and he ran up, and it was just such a cool commercial. But I cannot find that anywhere. So I know it's a struggle, Wendy. I trust me because oh my gosh, I want to find it, but it's like commercials. I don't know. I wish they would just have like one channel on YouTube for like all the old vintage Scooby-Doo commercials. It'd be really cool.
Yes, agreed.
It would be nice. It would be nice if like Boomerang would put that on there on demand or somewhere. Just have some kind of archive of all of the old bumpers that they had. Even Cartoon Network, you know, because they used to do the marathons and then they had those little clips in between, and it was really cool that they did that. And I don't have cable, but I know that before we stopped having cable, they weren't doing things like that.
Yeah, it's weird, you know, but like you said, it's I feel like more of the vintage stuff kind of got lost through the years, kind of slipped through the cracks, and I do hate that. But you know, it is rare because sometimes, you know, you'll scroll through YouTube and, you know, you'll find a Scooby-Doo video and then you think to yourself, oh my gosh, this is really old. Like, and so you try to save it and try to preserve it and try to, you know, save it to your camera roll or whatever, just so that you're able to keep that. Because to me, I love Scooby-Doo, but I'm kind of more loving towards the vintage and old classic stuff because I'm thinking to myself like that. I'm just the kind of guy that I love vintage stuff. I love old things. I love old TV shows, old cartoons. So when you find that stuff, you know, because back then, you know, it wasn't the best quality. It wasn't the, you know, since some of it was cheesy and stuff like that, but it was what they had in the 70s and 80s, and to kind of see it now versus, because, you know, nowadays they really don't do a lot of Scooby-Doo commercials like they used to. You know, where they have Scooby-Doo cereal. And I mean, I would love to see a Scooby-Doo cereal come back, but they used to do all the commercials for the Scooby-Doo cereal and commercials for some of the Scooby-Doo toys and commercials for like, I think the last commercial I honestly saw for Scooby-Doo was when they did Scooby-Doo. I remember they did a little commercial for the Scooby-Doo Lego sets. And I think that was like the last like Scooby-Doo product commercial I've ever saw. And I was like, oh, I hate that. But it would be cool to see them start doing that more, because like the old vintage stuff to me is just it's so nostalgic, you know.
It would be nice too if they would take those bumpers and put them as special features on DVDs.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
That'd be cool.
Justin, you mentioned it a little bit ago when you were talking, but how Scott Ennis did he did that one thing on the Scooby-Doo Where Are You box set where you could watch a feature. Yeah, and as I don't know if y'all seen it before, but I know, like I said, I know Justin has, and I have too. But if you watch, and it's probably on YouTube, but if you go to the Scooby-Doo Where Are You box set, and you watch the special features from the collection DVD set, Scott Ennis takes you on a tour through his Scooby-Doo collection, his house, all his stuff. Mm-hmm. There's a couple other collectors, you know, they show their collections, and I just think that's so cool. And I'm thinking to myself, that would be cool for us to do videos like that of our collections and kind of do like a collab. Like, I think that would be really cool for the future. Like an idea there. So
I like that.
Yeah,
That'd
that
be awesome.
That would be so cool, because that featurette where it had like the 3 ultimate Doo fans was like my favorite thing on any DVD ever. And I watched those over and over and over again. And I was like, I want that, and I want that, and I want that. And I'm going to make a mental note of that, you know, oh, they're so good.
That's the one good thing about all of us collecting is, and I think all of you said it at some point, or one of you said it, is, you know, we all have different items in our collections, and it's really cool to see the things that I didn't even know existed in your collections. And then, you know, either I'm just thrilled that you have it, or, you know, maybe I'll try and find it because I think it would be cool to add to mine. But it's just really cool to see everybody's collections are different. Everybody has some different items that, you know, are from the 70s, 80s, because I do like the vintage stuff. It's getting harder to find that stuff at a decent price.
Yes, it is.
So, yeah. Anything else you guys want to talk about, or any more questions?
I've enjoyed
Sorry, go ahead, Cameron.
No, I was just topic so far. I actually vibe well with y'all. Like I love talking Scooby with y'all, because it's just fun, because like y'all actually get it collecting. Like there's other people out there, it's like they just don't get it, but y'all get it. And I don't know, I feel like I just talk to y'all forever.
Yeah, no, great. It's been fun. Yeah, it
is fun.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Wendy, I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, can I show an item that I have that I think Nikki probably knows that I have it. I wrote a blog post about it last year, but I'm just curious because I consider the rest of you to be Scooby experts. So I would like to know your thoughts on what you think this actually, like, where did it come from? So we were talking about the Scooby-Dee push puppet, and last year I found this little guy from Hungary, and it is identical in the mold to the Scooby-Dee. Only it's clearly not her. It's black and it's not been painted. That is the color of the plastic. And yet that is absolutely the identical mold that they used for her. So I'm curious if you think that this is like a straight up bootleg, or do you think that perhaps once the Imperial Toy Corporation was done with their run, that they maybe sold off the molds cheaply because they were done with them, and so some random company just decided, hey, let's make a dog toy. We're not going to market it as Scooby-Doo or Scooby-Dee because like it has a sticker on the bottom in a foreign language, but like it doesn't have like the little plaque on it that says anything, you know, it's just like a generic dog now. And I'm curious because I wasn't quite sure, like, what is she? Is she a prototype? I don't think she's a prototype because the sticker on the bottom does say 79, which would be 2 years after the other ones. But I just thought she was such like an amazing little thing to get, and a great placeholder before I get the real one. I can't wait to put them together. That's like my dream now. But what do you think? What do you think it is?
Sorry, I had to move so close. I can't
No,
see.
like let me get my magnifying glass.
Sorry.
I would think it would be a mold that they sold or was copied, I think, but it's still so cool.
Right?
Yeah, it's pretty neat. Yeah.
Super cool.
I was gonna say
It would make sense if they sold the molds off when they went out of business.
Yeah, I was gonna say if that was a bootleg, that looks pretty good.
They did too good for a bootleg.
Yeah.
So Wendy, I think that's really cool. I've never seen them do that kind of that black color. And you notice also too, look at the base that it's standing on. It's in a circular motion. It's on a circle, and the other ones are kind of on squares. So it's different. And I've noticed in the past collecting Scooby-Doo, when you buy something from Hungary or Mexico or Japan or even Canada or wherever, you notice that they'll do something different to Scooby-Doo, or they'll make they have tried for Scooby-Doo, and it could, like I said, it could have been like a mold they've used, but what catches my eye is the different color of it, and also to that base, because I'm thinking to myself that could have been for them to kind of, they'll kind of like set it up there, and they kind of designed it because, like I said, that circular where the other ones are in a square, so that's really neat. That's honestly a very unique collectible. I've never seen one like that. So awesome piece.
Yeah, and it was such like when people ask me about how I find things and everything, and like I am good at researching a lot of things. And so my number one tip though for people that are like looking for like items and stuff on eBay is, just because you know what it is doesn't mean that the seller knows what it is.
Yes.
So because I was so desperate for a Scooby-Dee, I just broadened my search terms to like just Great Dane and toy. And that was how this came up. This was not labeled Scooby-Doo in any way, shape, or form in the listing. And as I was scrolling though, I mean, like when you've done it like dozens of times and you find nothing, then you do it the next time, and you kind of you scroll it, and you're not expecting anything. But I'm telling you, the moment that like came down on my screen, I was like, I know what that is. I mean, I don't know what it is, but I know what it is. And it was under $20 shipped from Hungary.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I was tempted to say this was maybe my favorite collectible, but I don't know.
Is that a push puppet? Or
it is.
It is.
Do it. Yay!
Uh-oh.
It has to be related in some way. It looks exactly like Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Really
So even though I didn't have the other one to compare it to, because there are pictures online, I was able to pose this in like the identical pose, and then just take the other picture and put them side by side. And there's no question, like this one has not been smoothed. All of like the seams, they need to be smoothed down. They're very rough, but it is absolutely identical. There's no way that, I mean, it's either the exact molds or they just remade molds that were exactly the same. But I just thought it was so interesting. And I was very tempted to like custom paint it when I got it. And I thought, no, because like eventually, hopefully I'll get the real one. And then I don't want to have two white ones. So I'm glad that I waited.
Yeah.
That's
Shadow
really
D.
And I know we got to get going and stuff, but I just one thing that Wendy did bring up, and I think that's very, very important for us as collectors and for when people do watch this panel, is be advised of that. I've bought a lot of my collectibles in the past from collectors, and they've known their stuff, but I've also bought stuff from people in the past that don't know the worth of their items. I've had people put up stuff that if y'all saw it, make your jaws drop, and you're thinking to myself, oh my gosh, like that's worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And you're like, a lot of it, what it is sometimes it's these people that do collect, and when I say this, sometimes I've had it in the past where they're older collectors, because when I go up to go get vintage stuff, some of the people are like, when my husband passed away, I just want to get rid of this stuff, $5. And you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, like that's $300. Right. You know what I mean? So, and it's very, very true. So, estate sales, eBay, Meger. I mean, whether you're online shopping or going to and actually, looking for something Scooby-Doo, you know the worth of it, and I know that all of you do on this chat, all four of you do, and even people that are going to be watching, how much a Scooby-Doo collectible is worth, but not everybody out there knows Scooby-Doo stuff. So I think that's where we have the step up, the advantage of it. You know what I mean? And it's not that we're trying to rip people off. And I've told people in the past, hey, you've actually got a really good, collectible on your hands. You can actually get a little bit more money for it. I can give you a little bit more. And they're like, no, I just want to get rid of it. And you're like, okay, well, I'm going to take it off your hands then, So I think that's where Scooby-Doo collectors, we know what the stuff's worth. We know how much it can come for, but yet we find bargains. I think that's honestly what makes it so fun for us Scooby-Doo collectors. It's the thrill of the hunt. Yeah. And when what you've been looking for, it's so cool, because when you put it in your collection, you walk by and you're like, oh my gosh, I've been looking for it. I got it. Okay, what's next? What, okay, I got to watch Nikki's video again, see try to but it's fun. It's like I said, it's the thrill of the hunt, what makes it worthwhile. So
yep.
And also, like Wendy said, when you're looking for something on eBay or Mercari, you do have to use different search terms.
Yes.
Because I've found some of the cookie jars listed as treat jars. And, that made a huge difference in the price and the quality of it, which is, it seems weird to say, but, I found a cookie jar that was listed for $300 and the same thing that was listed as a treat jar for $25. That's a huge difference. So the search terms do make a big difference.
For sure.
Along with misspellings.
Yes.
Scooby. Scooby-Doo.
Yes.
Yeah. There was somebody that just listed a bear cookie jar on Mercari and listed it as Scooby, and someone bought it. And I hope that person doesn't think that they're getting a Scooby-Doo cookie jar, because it doesn't look anything like Scooby. But it's actually the second time that I saw it listed on Mercari as Scooby-Doo, that same cookie jar. And it drives me crazy when people try to use the Scooby-Doo name to sell a product that is obviously not Scooby.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts when people post Marmaduke stuff and they're like, oh, like here's Scooby-Doo. Oh, you need to know your Great Danes. Like, do we need to have a I'm like, oh.
I've also seen them mix up Scooby and Snoopy. Like, they're two different dogs, and they're not even the same type of dog. Like, how do you mix them up?
Yeah.
I notice like when I go to Hallmark, when I walk in the store, Snoopy it's like someone threw up Snoopy inside. I'm just like, and then you'll see like a little collectible. Okay. I don't like, it's like they've kind of like Hallmark's kind of like put Scooby-Doo on the back burner a little bit. Like, they do the ornaments, don't get me wrong, and I'm very blessed and grateful they did, because every year ever since I was little, my mom always bought the ornaments for me, and so every year I always get a Scooby-Doo ornament. But I don't understand it's so popular at Hallmark. Like, I don't know if y'all see that as well, if y'all have a Hallmark near you, or if y'all see it online, but I don't know what that's all about.
In our Hallmark, there's always that one middle shelf that is all Snoopy. Nothing else, just Snoopy.
Yeah.
But you never see that for Scooby in Hallmark.
No.
Although somebody
my wallet is glad.
It's true.
Right.
Somebody in Canada did post a display like that of Scooby at Hallmark, and they said that Hallmark in Canada had this whole shelf thing for Scooby-Doo. I never saw it here in the States, but
okay, so
all the Hallmarks in Canada sold, like, aren't a thing anymore. Physical stores.
No,
ma'am, I got some searching to do.
Yeah, our Hallmark closed a number of years ago. I know there's one that's like the closest large city next to me, it would be like 2 hours away. Their Hallmark is still open, but yeah, ours has been closed for a number of years, unfortunately.
Oh wow.
Yeah. All right. Anything else that anyone wants to talk about? No. All right.
Good
Well,
time.
thank
That
you
was fun.
guys so much for doing this with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us, Nikki. We really do appreciate all that you do.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
And thank you all, y'all. You were
Yeah.
awesome.
It was good talking to y'all. Yeah, that was a lot
Yeah.
of fun. Hope we can do it again sometime. Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely. I have so many topics to talk about. So if you guys ever want to come back on, just let me know. This is Cameron and Wendy both did the first one, so they might end up just doing all of them. Who knows?
Yeah, there you go. Nice.
Always here.
Yeah, so thank you guys so much. This was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed talking about Scooby with people that actually appreciate talking about
Yes.
Scooby.
Yeah.
It makes a
Definitely.
big difference. So
Yeah, it was really great.
if you guys can let me know where to find you on social media. Justin, we'll start with you.
Yep, mine is at Collector Scooby on Twitter and Instagram for now. I might open a Facebook page for it, but yeah, Twitter and Instagram are where I'm active.
Danii?
I'm under Masquerades Fox. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch. I have a YouTube show called Me, You, and Scooby-Doo with a pen pal of mine. And also all my stuff's on my website, DaniMeger.com, because I'm a voice actor.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Cameron?
So you guys can find me at Scooby and Cam. So the @ Scooby and Cam. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'm actually going to be making a YouTube channel soon. So stay tuned.
Yay.
And Wendy.
And on Twitter, I'm at Wendy Loves Jesus. And on Instagram, I'm at Wendy Brydge. It's BRYDGE.
Nikki, thank you again. We really do
Yep.
appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah.
And have a great weekend.
Yeah,
Yes.
take care.
Same to you all.
Yeah.
Happy collecting.
Yeah.
Yep, you know it.
Bye.
All
All right,
right, see you, everybody.
bye.
Bye.
That wraps up another mystery. I'm Nikki Blake from ScoobyAddicts.com. Thank you for watching the Scooby panel, and be sure to subscribe to my channel for more great discussions. A very special thank you to Scooby collector Justin Schauren, Danii Meger, the current Guinness record holder for the most Scooby merchandise, Cameron Bates from Scooby-Doo and Cameron Too, and blogger and Scooby collector Wendy Brydge. Scooby and Shaggy were voiced by Scott Innes. Check out Scott's page, Scooby's Meddling Kids with Scott Innes, on Facebook. Art by Will Davenport. Video editing by Mike Burns. Music composed and performed by Bovine Nightmares. Please join me next time for our discussion on the art of Scooby-Doo.